Guys, what's something that would surprise women about life as a man?
Being drafted once you turn 18.
I don't think women realize how much harder dating is for men.
The lack of attention given by the opposite. We have proof, thanks to the internet, that no matter what level of life or age a woman is, they tend to never really know, or accept it.
Sorts by controversial * popcorn.
Having it hammered into your head that no one wants to hear you being vulnerable and that you gotta have a thick skin and strong face. Then when that strength attracts a woman, she complains about you being emotionally unavailable. Then you actually do share and she loses all respect for you. You learn that pretty much no one can be trusted and you gotta figure this out for yourself.
Nora Vincent was surprised by just about everything. She thought she had some idea of how things would go and was completely dissuaded.
We usually have no idea when our friends' birthdays are. I honestly sometimes forget the names of their children.
Men are like pack mules. We carry all their we get yelled at a lot and we hardly ever get ridden.
The amount of reverse sexism that exists and has become normalized in females.
No one gives a about how you might be feeling that particular day. You're expected to always deliver, and if you have some sort of problem, you're supposed to toughen up and carry on.
That, for the most part, many of us really have no idea when, if you're interested. And probably miss out on a lot of chances, leaving opportunities on the table.
You'd be amazed by how often you have to unstick your from your thigh, in the words about being a dude in high school surrounded by girls. Thank for big textbooks. We usually yell because we're scared about something, or because someone convinced us it's the only way anyone will listen to us or take us seriously, or we sometimes think you look in the morning. But it's okay, we do when we say you look cute, hot, sexy, etc. When you look kind of rumpled, sweaty, dirty, or messed up, we actually do mean most of us. There's a lot of truth in my wife's guide for happy marriage. Full stomach, empty of us really do like being the aggressor, approacher, though once in a while, the woman doing the approaching is fun because it's novel and a break from of us actually do find chubby women attractive, and we married them because we love them and find them sexy, not because we had no other. Sometimes your does look in those pants, but we almost never see that as a bad. Aren't nearly as scared about fighting or conflict as most women seem to be. We know it's usually just a lot of yelling, and more often than not, the conflict won't be permanent. In fact, sometimes we end up becoming. We do think most of your shows and all those Hallmark Channel holiday movies really do that badly. It isn't a male ego or insecurity thing. Their really are as happy about the planned pregnancy as you are. It isn't an act. And #X200B. A lot of guys are very isolated and lonely, and the best thing you can ever say to us is, that's all.
Sometimes I forget the friends' first or last names, depending on how we usually refer to them. There's always those guys that go only by their last name.
My wife still doesn't get this. About 10 years ago we put 2 glasses on our dresser. We drop a coin in our glass when someone flirts with her glass is 3/4 full. I believe right now, mine has like 10 or 12 coins tops. Lol. Her explanation is that I'm just so clueless that I'm not picking up on the flirtations. I may be clueless, but I'm not that clueless.
Men have to earn their value. Women are born with it.
It's because they only interact with the small number of men who find it easy.
How many times this type of question gets asked in this sub?
The risk of being labeled as creepy by certain women who don't find you attractive makes it a bit more nerve-wracking.
How incredibly lonely we feel. We even have partners and friends but are still very lonely. No one wants to hear our problems. Women don't want to hear it. Men don't talk about it.
Men also live in fear of don't have the threat of violence like women do. But the threat of social, everyday violence is also much more present than it is for women.
The line between creepy and romantic is based almost solely on their interest in you.
And even then, it's only easy for those men right at that moment because they're on a date.
My wife told me not to talk about my past relationship where I was being verbally abused because she didn't want to see me weak like that. She apologized for that years later, but there's definitely a wall between us in that area.
I agree. I'm a guy that grew up in a house of all girls. Hearing their dating stories as a teenager destroyed my confidence sometimes. I'm in my 20s now and thankfully it's gotten a little better, but it's still nowhere near what they was doing so much just to get a sliver of an opportunity at a relationship, and seeing them be able to participate in dating with such minimal effort, it was hard not to feel. Once told them how hard it was to feel like you're in constant competition with other guys, and they insisted that dating wasn't a competition. No. For you it's not a competition. You are the ones who decide who gets to participate and where the finish line. Lot of women have a tendency to believe that it's all just a matter of serendipity, because for them that was actually the case. They were able to wait for Prince Charming to come along, when the other side of that coin was the fact that it was their boyfriends, husbands that were actively searching for them and trying their hardest to cultivate the relationship that they formed.
And if you're on the creepy side, you can kiss your reputation goodbye. That's why I refuse to pursue relationships where I work, even if I have a massive crush. I'm generally well liked and I'd like to keep it that way.
I would say the general feeling of just being seen as expendable. Men are not inherently valued. We are valued for what we can provide. There's plenty of us to go around. It manifests in far more than just dating. It's men who are expected to do the dangerous jobs. In hostage situations, it's almost always seen as more sad when women or children die than it is when men die. When a country goes to war, it's men that everyone expects to lay their lives, not insinuating that women have it easy by any means. Women tend to have the opposite problem and have to worry about objectification. It's just that sometimes, as a man, it can be devaluing when you constantly see examples of not being inherently valued.
How easy it is sometimes to make us happy.
You don't get to manipulate people to get what you want.
Found out I, 41 am autistic last month. Can confirm. Before I knew what I was dealing with, I felt like I was playing life on impossible difficulty with no manual.
Loneliness. Even tough you hang with friends a bit once every couple of weeks, you don't talk about that when they're. You'll have to find for yourself all the time, every time. Also a common reason guys go out for a drink alone here. Just to get out of the house and eventually talk to other lonely guys.
Oh, and never get dating advice from women. Most of them have no ducking idea what they want, or have a very distorted idea of what they actually want.
Calling it reverse sexism and referring to women as females are both good indications that your knowledge, comprehension in this area is lacking.
No one gives a about how you feel. If gets tough, don't say and get it fixed.
How little we get to talk about our issues, feelings and situations. I contacted a female friend recently after I went through a breakup. I literally talked about the breakup for around 4 minutes before we focused on her problems, issues and life for the next hour. She then had the cheek to text me later on and request I not use her as a therapist. Women are so oblivious about how selfish they are in this regard. If the conversation is not focused on them in some way, they think they are being taken advantage of and used.
As a guy, how much work you're expected to do. Growing up, my sister, girlfriends and GFS were always able to hang out or do whatever, whenever. I've always had to do yard maintenance, fix move for other people, do things for my grandparents or other family members, paint, etc. I never had free time. My GFs could never believe I had other to do because they didn't have to do draft. Even though it's not needed, but any given moment that could and were lonely, it is being a guy. After high school, college, it's hard to keep friends. Priorities change. Constant competition with other guys in everything.
People being afraid of you by default.
Anyone wondering this should look into Self-Made Man by Nora Vincent, where she goes undercover, successfully, as a man for 18 months and finds out what it is like.
My wife and my mother constantly ask me questions about old friends that I can't answer. Is Mike still working for that advertising company? Beats the out of me. I think he still works in advertising. I have no clue if he's working for the same company because I never knew what that company was in the first place. How is Bill's mother doing these days? I dunno. I think she has cancer, because Bill told me she had cancer a few years ago. But I didn't go to Bill's mother's funeral, so I don't think she died of cancer. It's been a couple years, maybe she beat cancer?